high drama. Did high drama have a religious experience with the shows we saw this time around? Well, let's find out, starting with Damon Cardasis's Saturday Church, with book and additional lyrics by Damon Cardasis and James I. James, and music and lyrics by Sia, and additional music by Honey Dijon, conceived for the stage and based on the Spring Pictures film Saturday Church. It's that age-old story of a young man afraid to come out to his religious family.
The story of Saturday Church is about a young and very shy man who's not very confident to express his sexual leanings. He is named Ulysses, who has difficulty with his inner journey of emotions and acceptance. He's grieving silently about his father's recent death, and his mother, Amara, who works very, very hard as a nurse, she actually has no time to communicate with her son. And his aunt, Rose, she's very religious, and she has suspicion that he's too flamboyant and he might be gay. So she doesn't encourage him at all. Actually, she discourages him. One day he meets Raymond, a very confident young man, who takes him to this church. And this church is LGBTQ plus, who invites all kinds of genders and very, very accepting of all kinds of people. Over there, the in charge of the church, Bina, she takes him under his wing and helps him express himself. I mean, the music and the dancing and the costumes and the wigs are brilliant. I mean, to die. But the story is a bit stale, predictable, and kind of thin. So the story kind of does not match with the vigorous and fantastic dancing, and the actors seem like they have difficulty to connect with the narrative. So I loved everything else but the weak story. So I wanted to get up and dance if the story was strong. So it's a mixed for me.
You would think the story is predictable, with the gay man afraid to come out to his family, but with the religious right taking over the country and threatening all the gains that the LGBTQ plus community have made, this is still very timely. It helps that Bryson battles Ulysses is the sweet, innocent kid that gets swept up with Raymond and this alternative church of societal outcasts that have achieved the kind of family they never had. And he has a very unpleasant counter with Kareem Marsh, played by Mark. Also part of the church are Heaven and Dijon, who have to take up the slack with Ebony, who no longer is doing everything because they realize how much there is to do. Anya and Caleb Quizon spice up every scene they are in and could pull off any outfit or moves with style and cheekiness. It's fascinating to see Joaquina Kalulanka as a villain, as that is so far from the roles she usually plays. What makes it even harder is that she doesn't see herself as a villain. It's even worse when self-righteous people justify their intolerant behavior. Kristin Lloyd as Amara, a hardworking single mom, now that her husband has died, is heartbreaking. She wants to be there for her son, who she sees needs her, but she has to be the breadwinner now and has no time but to work to keep them all afloat. It is a small but mighty part in Kristin Lloyd's more than capable hands. Jackson Kanawa Perry plays a complex role of Raymond, who has to do questionable things to survive as he has no one but himself. The love story between worldly him and naive Ulysses is very touching and romantic. B. Noel Thomas as Ebony is dealing with much pain and suffering, just like the rest of the characters. How to make sense in a world without your BFF. Ulysses just might be the answer to help her through her grief. And J. Harrison Gee as Black Jesus and the Plaster Lewis and all the other, he's just wonderful and terrific, and I give this a happy face.
At Teatr Latea, you can see Lesia Ukrainka's 1906 play Cassandra, directed by Artemis Wheelock. The play concerns Cassandra, the Trojan princess, who often unwillingly tells family members and others the tragic future events that she sees, only not to be believed, but people consider her a jinx. For me, the most interesting scene was between Cassandra and her brother Helenus, who's also a seer. He doesn't tell people what he thinks is necessarily the future, but what they want to hear to maybe create a future truth. She can only tell what she sees, and that doesn't make people happier, and it doesn't make them create a better future. I found the play very confusing, although I liked the actress who played Cassandra, Domenica Hanzi. Because it was confusing and not really satisfying as drama, I'm giving it mixed faces.
Brian Kahada and Nigel D. Robinson's Mexodus brings to our attention a little-known fact about a dark time in American history when slavery and imperialism ruled. After Mexico finally freed itself from Spanish rule, they faced an even bigger obstacle, the United States. They had already gotten Texas in 1844. In Mexican-American War, America took away the Mexican lands that consisted of parts of Arizona, California, Colorado, Nevada, New Mexico, Utah, and Wyoming in 1848 and turned them into slave states in order to grow cotton. A different underground railroad developed for the southwestern slaves where they fled into Mexico from Texas in this particular story. Henry has to flee into Mexico after an unfortunate incident occurs. He ends up in Mexico with Carlos. Will they get past their suspicions of each other and their past to forge a new bond of freedom? This is a very intricate musical with use of many different instruments and sound effects and rap and ballads and using looping to create a musical soundscape to drive the story along. Brian Kahada and Nigel D. Robinson have humanized history using a damn good story, exceptional music, and wonderful acting. Major happy face.
Turned Away Genevieve Scott's Another Kind of Holding On is so much more than its name proclaims. Change is the theme. What one does to hold on to what one knows, to maintain the delicate balance of life's obstacles, interferences. The small victories and celebrations of this time and place are honored too in this piece. We are invited into the lives of me and you, a young couple settled into their apartment, grasping onto the life they share. Enjoying each other's company, they make plans for their future together. Outside influences seem to be minimal, yet create sudden moments of vulnerability as the couple's perfect time together is interrupted. A phone call from a parent dishevels their seemingly storybook existence. Sudden moments of daily intricacies spark fear. Conversations of those who are left out of their world hang in the air like a thick fog on a winter morning. So what happens if one of them wants to leave? The idea of change is usually scary for most of us, isn't it? What happens to the one who stays? Another Kind of Holding On reminds us of the beauty of staying, and yes, even the agonizing thought of leaving. The imagination of playwright Turned Away Genevieve Scott is to be commended. As one of the two actors, Miss Scott's vibrancy of her character shines. A glow of love surrounds her as she weaves in and out of her moments with her fellow actor, Bart Elliott. And Mr. Elliott's character is right there with her. His love shines even brighter. What's more, humorous moments showcase their love for each other in a most endearing way. Furthermore, the stage set of the apartment is innovative and very practical. Props and costumes adorn the stage, which is complemented with a bathroom, shower, a refrigerator, and a living space, bedroom space setup. Nothing is fancy, quite the opposite. An excellent choice, in my opinion, to supplement this stirring piece. I'm giving it a happy face plus.
Jonathan Spector's This Much I Know at 5090 Theaters is basically about two people with problematic, powerful fathers and how to break free from them. Stalin's daughter Svetlana and the head of the White Power movement's son, Harold. These stories happen concurrently as Natalia is trying to find out if her grandmother was really friends with Svetlana, and Harold is writing his thesis in H.G. Wells' Time Machine with Lukash, who is the husband of Natalia. Will they find out what they are looking for to make sense of what they want to do with their lives? I'm giving it a mixed face because I found it confusing, but a really good premise.
Well, I agree. It was very confusing. And, Lukash, the professor, kind of ties it together, but it doesn't really feel together. It's like a million little pieces of a jigsaw puzzle that don't quite fit to make a whole. And one of the people Natalia interviews in Russia is this guy whose hobby is putting together 10,000 piece jigsaw puzzles. It's like a metaphor for the whole, but I didn't care much for it. I gave it mixed faces too.
The Glitch, now playing at the Jerry Orbach Theater, takes us to a not so distant future where technology, parenthood, and identity all collide in fascinating and sometimes emotional ways. At the center of the story is Amy, who meets Haley, a holographic version of her possible future child, created from her own background information and her DNA. What begins as a high-tech experiment quickly turns into a moving exploration of love, memory, and what makes us truly human. The production design is sleek and minimalist, crisp lighting, subtle color shifts, and sound that pulls you right into this eerie, futuristic world. It's visually stunning, but never cold. There's warmth and heart in every scene. The Glitch is thought-provoking, touching, and beautifully staged. A smart and haunting new play that stays with you long after the lights go down. I give it a lovely happy face.
The Mint Theater is presenting Crooked Cross, written by Sally Carson, directed by Jonathan Bank. The Crooked Cross is the swastika used by the Nazis, and this is a play set in a German city near the Austrian border in the early years of the Nazi regime, 1932 to 33. On Christmas Eve, 1932, everyone is happy together in the Kluger home. As the Nazis gain more power, things change drastically. The brothers, Helmi and Eric Kruger, become active party members. Their sister, Lexa, is in love with Moritz Weissmann, a doctor who loses his hospital job due to his Jewish heritage. Lexa's brothers try to get her to break with Moritz, and Helmi even tries to persuade Moritz to stop seeing Lexa. Will Lexa and Moritz be able to escape from what promises to be a disaster? The play shows how ordinary people become involved with the party and thereby evil. Even Lexa's parents, who at first seem apolitical and suspicious of the Nazis, may later succumb to social pressure. Ella Stevens, making her New York debut, is wonderful as Lexa. She shows the strength and determination of the character and her growth from innocent unawareness to a deep understanding of the dangers of her society. Samuel Adams as Moritz and Douglas Reese as the father seem reluctant to realize how perilous their situation is. We wonder if they will understand in time to be able to escape. As usual at the Mint, the costume setting and performances are all top notch. Once again, with Sally Carson and her play, they have found a neglected but sterling talent from the past. Brava! Major happy face.
I totally agree with Mark. And what makes this even more incredible is this is actually happening in real time for Sally Carson. She went to Germany in 1932, saw what was happening, and wrote about it. For anyone understood the implications. And of course, me being first generation American because my parents were German, I understand. My grandfather, thank God, the minute it turned 1933, he knew when Hitler came to power, he immediately knew we're in trouble, got that visa, and tried to get his family out. But other people were like, no, we're Germans. We're Germans. They always put, I'm a German first and I'm a Jew second or whatever. And so it really showed that. And it was just so well done. I love this play. I'm giving it a major happy face too.
So I am reviewing for Halloween Exorcistic the Musical, written and directed by Michael Shaw Fisher, currently playing apropos at the Asylum NYC on East 24th Street. It's basically the story of this little ragtag theater troupe putting on their version of The Exorcist to honor the 52nd anniversary of the movie coming out. And basically, through one means or another, they actually wind up summoning Satan. Anybody who knows the movie or the book will know about this play, which is very amusing. The cast is great. The standouts are Emma Hunton as Megan, who is a human rubber band, Stephen Cutts as Captain Rowdy, aka Lucifer, and the night that we saw it, Gabe Martinez as Satan, because they have a revolving cast of special characters to play Satan. The one problem that I had with it was the actors were mic'd so loudly that when they sang, it was literally painful and you couldn't hear the words. There were people in the front row moving towards the back of the theater to try and get away. Other than that, I have no quibble. This is a lot of fun. It's got some creepy moments, especially Emma doing her contortions, and it's got a lot of laughs. I give it a happy face. You should go see it. It's been extended through November 1st.
Unfortunately for me, I can't review it because I had my eyes shut the whole time because there's lots of flashing lights and everything. But I remember, and I saw The Exorcist ages ago, but I remember Lisa telling me that there were a lot of Easter eggs in it, and the audience that was familiar with the movie was all excited about certain scenes. So I think people who know the movie really well and who don't have vertigo will really enjoy it and bring earplugs and sound canceling because, like she said, it is just awful how loud it is. Continue our interview with Cyndi Freeman from Hotsy Totsy, and the whole interview can be found on YouTube because we won't have time again for all of it. But this time in November, she's going to be doing Peanuts.
But it is a nerdy burlesque show. And how it started, the original shows were not necessarily nerdy. We were just doing everything, but we noticed when we did something where we paid tribute to a great show that we liked, our performers were like, cosplay, that's amazing. I have these costumes that I wear when I go to conventions. And then the audience in kind. So it was whenever we said, let's tribute something, everybody got extra excited. So we said, well, then that's our brand. We're just going to tribute stuff. So we've done, oh my gosh, we have done anime and we just did zombies. We just paid tribute to Meryl Streep through Burlesque, which I got to tell you was amazing. The acts, the people, they really brought it. And then yeah, coming up, we're doing Snoopy Comes Home in November, and we're doing our annual Star Wars holiday special tribute in December.
Meryl Streep, did you have the Silkwood shower scene? Because that's perfect for burlesque.
I did Florence Foster Jenkins, the woman who couldn't sing, and we had a wonderful tape of Meryl Streep going through an entire song off key. And so I dressed to the nines and then performed to a horrible track.
How do you choose your genres, though? You've added a few. You have a couple of staples. You do both Star Trek and Star Wars. I'm waiting for the Addams Family.
Ooh, that's a good one. I should jot that one down.
Yeah, everyone's going as Wednesday Addams, it looks like, for Halloween.
We choose what we love. You know,
but when you say we, who is the consortium?
The consortium is primarily my co-producer and co-host. That is Handsome Brad, also my husband. He's very handsome. He's awesome and very funny. And we co-write the scripts together, often with a good friend of us, Andy Ross. But we come up with ideas on our own, and then we throw it out to the performers. And we have, I would say, a stable of about 20 performers that come in and out. And we just throw out these. This is what we're thinking. Is there anything you would like to add? So Meryl Streep came from them, but we thought that was a great idea. But, you know, mostly like we're big on superheroes, so we always do a Marvel. When Game of Thrones was the big thing, we were doing a Game of Thrones. We even did a Downton Abbey at one point. So we do what we love, we pay tribute. It's not making fun. We had one person whose fiance did not want to come to a Star Trek burlesque show because he loves Star Trek so much that he couldn't imagine people making fun of it. It would break his heart. And then she won at the raffle. We had, I think it was 8 Star Trek plates, like dinner plate chargers. And so she was bringing it home to him, and she said, I'll explain to him that they love it as much as you do. So
But yeah,
it's
you
very
do
fun.
the callbacks, if you will. You do every incarnation of Star Trek from Enterprise to Strange New Worlds. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah,
Because
I'm
we
waiting
watch them
for.
all.
Yeah, no. I mean, you play to the fans who are in your audience,
Yeah.
dressed, in character.
Often they do, and I love it. I love it. And we often cast the audience, with the zombies, we were all the people who have survived so far, so the audience often gets, this is your role. And then they, it's almost like a Christmas play where they'll boo on the villains and they'll cheer on the heroes. So like we have at this stage, we have a really steady following, and they come each and every show and they cheer us along. And sometimes I would say join in, maybe heckle, but it's always in good fun.
Well, you encourage the hooting and hollering, as it were. I'm just wondering, burlesque started out as sort of satire, thinly veiled political satire, or not so thinly veiled political satire. I'm wondering if you had considered crossovers, Marvel Universe meets the DC Universe, Star Trek meets Star Wars, or something like that. What kind of dynamic this is obviously a hypothetical.
We've done the crossovers when shows have done crossovers. So we were a big fan of Supernatural. We're a big fan of Scooby-Doo. There is a Scooby-Doo Supernatural crossover. So the last show we did was a Scooby-Doo show, and then suddenly, the characters from, Supernatural have appeared.
I'm sorry I missed that one.
How do you find all the people, your 20 performers?
Well, we've been doing this for, 18 years. So at the beginning, it really was just out and about and asking people, but now it's primarily people that we know. And then every now and then we'll do a shout out. Does anybody know anybody? And so it's almost always word of mouth. Occasionally people will come to the show and say, I'm a performer. And, we're like, great, send us a video. Let's see you. Tell us what characters you might have. And, if we feel they are, strong enough, we bring them into the fold.
You're like Forbidden Broadway, but Forbidden Burlesque.
Yeah. But you were saying that the history of burlesque is in satire, and that's, I would say, back in the closer to the late 1800s, and then with vaudeville, burlesque became sort of the naughty version. I have a wonderful book called The History of Striptease that talks about this, and so burlesque became, the naughty version of vaudeville. And that eventually turned into the strip clubs as we know them today. And I think that the neo-burlesque movement in the 90s sort of came out of artists wanting to go back to, I don't want to say more innocent, because certainly I've seen some very raunchy things there, but more artistic, less about making money off the customers and more about creating a wonderful space for performers to enjoy and be creative.
Well, thank you very much. Looking forward.
All right. Well, take care. Have a great show. And thank you so much for bringing me on.
Unconditional, the new play by Ali Keller playing at Soho Playhouse, is definitely a must-see. Directed by Ivy Lowe, we see these two couples really going at it. There's Kate Abruzzese, Brooks Brantley play one couple who are now at a point where the wife wants to have a little bit more direction or create direction in their sexual relationship. This is freaking out the husband. He is not exactly old worldly, but he really is obsessed with his own machismo. They have a daughter, a very precocious daughter, who realizes that something has happened to her parents' relationship, and is learning as much as she can. She is 20-something for a 7-year-old. And the other couple, Annalisa Chamberlain and Nathan Darrow, play a couple whose marriage is also falling apart for a completely different reason. Annalisa's character is watching her biological clock tick. She wants to have a child, but it's really hard to have a child when you're not even having sex anymore. So, and that's kind of like a crucial thing. You must have sex in order to have a child. And Nathan's character has something very serious going on that prevents him from wanting to be or needing to be near children. Very upsetting in a theater setting, especially one where you are so close to the action. But the director, Ivy Lowe, has done an incredible job with a very, very difficult piece of theater. I give 2 thumbs up, major happy face for a work that would seem to be impossible to put on stage, and these people do an incredible job.
So our next show will be on November 1st at NYU Skirball. We've got Krapp's Last Tape with Stephen Ray going on to October 19th. We'll talk about that on the Facebook page. Hot Peaches, October 26th at 3 o'clock. And Theater in Quarantine, Phantom of the Opera is going on to November 2nd. Some special events is The Power Joker, a Robert Moses Spooktacular at the Caveat, October 18th at 7 o'clock. Benjamin's going to talk about that one. GI60 NYC Festival, October 18th at 7 o'clock will be live streamed. And Gilbert and Sullivan's Yeoman of the Guard, my favorite, is a K Playhouse at Hunter College, Saturday, October 25th and 26th, and we will talk about that on Facebook. Charlotte Lucas is 27 and not dead at Prospect Theater Company at Baruch Performing Arts Center, also is going on October 25th and 26th. And F'd Up Fairytales is back the first Saturday of the month at Rising Sun Performance Company at the Rat. And Cherry Pitts and Handsome Brad presents a Hotsy Totsy tribute to Peanut Snoopy Come Home on November 13th at the Slipper Room. And closing October 18th is Slaughter City, and Tony Marinelli's review will be on theaterscene.net. Closing October 25th is Abby Wambau's The First 3 Minutes of 17 Shows at Dixon Place with review on Facebook. And closing October 26th, Triplicity, Babu Minds at 122cc, review on Facebook. Italian American Reconciliation at The Flea, Facebook review. Toria, WP Theater. And then we have got closing November 1st, Jewish Plot at the Brick on Facebook, review. Closing November 2nd, Dreadful Episodes, review on Facebook. And then We Were No More, La Mama, Facebook review. Oh Happy Days, a Public Theater, Facebook review. And of course, our favorites, 54 Below, Joe's Pub, and 92NY. And I'm sure there'll be even more reviews on Facebook because we don't have time to get it on the show.